How's it going? It is now August the 7th, 2017. And boy, this is this isn't going to be a long video for sure. At this point, it's 5:51. Checking here. My phone's going to start reminding me to get my butt ready in about 40 minutes, so it'll probably be 45 minutes tops. So anyways, this isn't going to be a very graphically intensive video. Maybe it's just going to be a talk. I'm not too sure what. I might go looking into a few things on here. Perhaps I will, perhaps I won't. Well, yeah. Why not make it graphically? Go ahead and do it. So, this was actually pretty cool. And just going over to say, people ask me what the hell my site is. I get that all the time, and it's, just search for Railroad Transportation Simulator on Google, you'll find it. We're all over the place, but it's Railroad Transportation Simulator.wikia.com. Oh yeah, I forgot, and I better change that, or remember to send that email. I'm supposed to have a video call at 10 p.m. tonight. Mikey, if you're out there, it's probably going to be closer to 9, because I may want to try to sneak in something tonight if I have time to do some programming. If I have time, maybe I won't feel like doing it, who knows. But everything's kind of, I got plenty of time. It's only 5:53. I still have plenty of time in the day. I've gone through all my catching up on whatever the hell's supposed to be going on in the world, and not much has changed, so same old, same old. And then that's about it. What did I do this weekend? I was going to mention that only because I thought this was really cool. So today is a holiday here in Canada. Simcoe Day is called. Governor Simcoe, that's Lake Simcoe up there. But anyways, I didn't go that way. The problem is, if you guys, anybody who's within this Greater Toronto area, or anybody who's in Southern Ontario, the Golden Horseshoe is what they call this, Niagara Frontier over here. Anybody who is trying to get away to a cottage on this weekend, you got to play around with a hell of a lot of traffic or drive at some of the weirdest times, like in the middle of the night, basically, if you plan on getting anywhere. And I mean, I could drive in the middle of the night on a Friday. I might have been able to do it. Wait till 10, 11 o'clock at night and just go for it. But I decided, why not try something just a little bit different? And Ski's over in Buffalo. Now, I've been over there a couple times with him, but I've been in there in the past as well. And I thought, well, I'm going to go. I hadn't seen him in a while, and I hadn't been to Buffalo for a while since. So I thought, I hadn't been there for a bit. It's not that far away. I mean, literally, I'm just in the St. Catharines area, which is just above Niagara Falls here. So I decided to go ahead, and they got a big yard, Frontier, if I can find it. I don't know if I can find it on here. Well, that's pretty easy to find. They got all kinds of yards, but that must be the one right there. So that is Frontier Yard in Buffalo. If you guys are ever in the area, it's kind of on the east side of town. And there wasn't a hump there. I don't know how they're switching this now, or if they're running over the hump, or what the hell they're doing. But as far as I know, the hump is closed. I certainly saw these yard tracks still being used, so that's a good sign. But look like there's a lot of these tracks that are being used too. So I don't know how do they get around the hump somehow? They must have a way of getting around the hump, or they can get into this or something. I don't know how the hell they do it, but so yeah, I went here. This is a good play. If you guys are ever around in Buffalo, it's not Fostoria, and that was the other option I had. Usually what'll happen is on a holiday weekend that's in Canada but not in the States, that's usually the time I will head for the States, generally speaking. we got another holiday coming up, Thanksgiving, which is different than the States as well. Now, I already told my son, I said, well, maybe I'll take you out of school in the American Thanksgiving and we'll drive north. That's when we'll go north. It'll be November, of course, but just head up north then. And it'll be really probably cool, but the fall colors will be kind of nice, I think. I don't know. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. I'm not sure. But the whole idea is we usually go someplace for the long weekend and stay overnight someplace. Fostoria, if you guys have ever driven on, anybody who's ever driven on the Highway 401, it is, well, one, it's a nightmare around Toronto, but it's okay. There's nothing wrong with getting, even on a holiday weekend, it's not too bad driving this way, but it's boring as hell in this section here. I mean, there is a lot of little towns, there's a lot of nothing. Can't really, I mean, you can see the urban centers, and it's just, it's almost a straight stretch. There's some curves there, and I mean, it just goes straight almost to London. Then you get into some of the stuff at least. But why does that look? I guess that's okay. It didn't look like satellite to me. It looked kind of weird. Okay, whatever. So I mean, yeah, I mean, we're a pretty populated area around the Golden Horseshoe, as you can see. What happens is cottage country, everybody goes this way, and I mean, there's a few other options to get up here, to get up that way, but that's pretty much the fastest option. You could take the ferry, which isn't too bad, but it takes a while. Go any further, good luck. But I don't know. I decided, I'd been saving some money. I was a month removed from going across Canada all the way. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Hello. I don't want to go back into outer space here. Yeah, let me just go to the map. I was going to, I went down to Vancouver Island about a month ago. So that was a train trip right across Canada. That was cool. So I wanted something different. I didn't want to spend the money on this time. I wanted to be a little bit cheap. Basically, and this turned out to be one of the most pleasing long weekend trips I've taken, and it was a day trip, and it wasn't that far. I mean, it took me, I went as far as, no, I didn't go to Ripley. Dunkirk, that's it. Didn't go too much further, so I was across. I mean, this is so close to home, but I've been on, anytime I have to go this way, I usually will take the 90 and just head down. It's a toll booth. It's the toll route. This section, you pay, I forget how much you pay a few bucks or whatever the hell it is going. It's one way, two ways? Yeah, maybe. Probably both ways. But I never once considered going down Route 5, and somehow I wound up on it. I took my son. He had never really, other than going through here, he had never really seen Frontier. I said, well, I gotta take you over there, buddy. You gotta see this. So he was really pleased to see that, and we were hanging out, and then we started. Next thing you know, we're all over the place. We're in the city. We're checking out some of the other yards, checking out some of the other stuff. And what surprised me, I mean, there's bad sections of town, there's good sections of town. I tend to not try to explore too much of Buffalo because, Buffalo, there's certain parts of the States, at least right now, where things can get a little rough. I've been in Cleveland, and I got into the bad section of town once at night. Not good. But I mean, I'm not saying that's the worst city I've been in, but anyways, that's just my experience. Was that particular time I was in Cleveland once, and a cop asked, I was just looking for a donut shop or a coffee shop or something, and a cop actually came up to me, and he was like, asking me, like, going, you say you looking for something or anything like that. I'm like, what? The cop's asking me this. He's beside me. It's 4 lanes, right? And yeah, he says, yeah, I'm looking for. He said, I don't know, you got a donut shop around or a coffee shop? You're not this side of town. I says, you probably don't want to be around this side of town. I says, oh, okay. I says, what's the fastest way out of here? He says, you know, take this way, take that way. I'm like, oh, okay. That's nice. So, I mean, we were just looking around. I don't mind exploring, but for some reason, I kind of learned from that experience, and I was just like, well, I'm not going to mess around Buffalo. I'm not going to mess around Detroit. I'm not going to mess around. Certainly, I've never been to Chicago messer. I went through Chicago. I went around Chicago. I didn't even go into Chicago. Forget it. And I know there's a lot of rail hot spots in Chicago, but there's no way I was going to do this. So we messed around here in the day. I figured it was pretty safe. But man, I got into this Buffalo River area, right? And when you're passing by, you see all these older industries that are just like falling apart, and but there's some that are still pretty good, but you can see it looks like really old, a little bit run down, but then you go through it and then suddenly you get to the harbor, and even the river itself, there's people kayaking in the river and stuff like that. I was like, what the hell? I had never been down there, and I was like, wow, it's amazing how bad a reputation a city can get. Or, you know, you hear things from what people say, then all you have to do is you get into the right parts of town, and suddenly it's just like, whoa. And I got on this, and this rivals one of the best routes, lakeside routes I have ever been on. There's really not too much lakeside wise that gave us the views that we were getting. I've been in places. I mean, QE's a little bit, but I mean, you're not really seeing too much. I mean, you see a lot in Toronto too, to a certain extent, but no, this was great. Now, of course, you know, for me being trades, I wanted to see trades, and man, we were just one after another. It's nothing like Fostoria, but it's the two Chicago lines, and what happens is eventually NS and CSX run side by side here. Now, unfortunately, there's not too many parallel roads, so you have to kind of explore some of these areas. Like North Evans is pretty good. Angola's pretty good. It's a nice little small town. Now, mind you, it separates, so you have to, on Main Street, you can see we saw an NS train go through as we were watching the CSX trains go by. NS is not as busy. CSX is double track. It's former New York Central Chicago line, and it's their main artery coming out. So it's kind of similar to Fostoria because the traffic is very similar. NS not as much, CSX quite a bit more, but still, you know, we didn't see any BNSF, but we saw a lot of UP. I've seen BNSF up in Buffalo before. Even a CP train, which goes through nearby Welland, Ontario, which is very near to me. It goes Toronto to Chicago. We saw that train go by. Actually, did we see it at Silver Creek? I can't remember, but anyways, you know, it's a long story short. This was a really cool trip. Now, if any of you guys, I'm trying to figure this one out. They got some new funky little signals in the yard here. They got yellow and white, which makes sense, normal and reverse for the switch machines. Flashing, they start having a flashing light now when they just line up the route, and they stay flashing until the train goes through it, so you know when something's coming in and out of the yard regardless of what the CTC signals say. Then sometimes they'll show up red when a train's going over it. Not always. It's kind of weird. Some places they do, other places they don't. I really don't know. There's some really funky signals they put in here recently. Unfortunately, they replaced, well, the bad news was they replaced the searchlight signals. They're now the Vaders, like you see everywhere else, the CSX doing. So there's the old classic New York Central signals are gone. They replaced it with the Vaders. So the good news about that is they're no longer approach-lit signals. The CTC used to be approach-lit now. Now that they're using the LEDs, they're on all the time. At least right now they are. I assume they've done testing and everything's back, and there's no view of any of the searchlights. They're totally gone. I don't know where they took them to or whatever, but they're gone. So it's all Vaders from the last time I was over. I forget the last time I was over there with Ski, but no, it was good. It was fun. It wasn't that long ago. It was this year. I'm pretty sure. Well, it should have been this year. Sometime, I think in the spring maybe. I was last over there with Ski, and they still had the searchlights. So I must have been early spring, because I heard There was a picture in March of them, and then not too long after March, they were gone, from what I understand. And yeah, actually, we could see the Vaders going up back in March. I remember that. So the Vaders were starting to go up in the places alongside with the searchlights. There's some more Vaders in Niagara Falls, New York that are going up too. So I'm looking forward to those actually, because they're a lot more visible than the old searchlight dwarfs that they have by the station in Niagara Falls, New York. So that'll be kind of cool to see when I'm out doing my runs and working. Anyways, enough of this talking about the prototype stuff. All I'm saying, for the costs, it usually costs me quite a bit of money on a long weekend. I packed a lunch, ate it at the duty free. Actually, no, I ate it along the border because we had a 30-minute delay, which was, you know, just the way traffic is coming out of Canada. It was a 30-minute delay going over the border. I was going to eat it in the parking lot of the duty free. Then we decided we both ate our sandwiches as we were going across. So I had some cereal bars, some pop, cola, or whatever, or, you know, soda for you guys in the States who don't know what pop is. Canada term, I guess, Canadian term for soda pop. And so we had all that. I mean, I literally probably spent the equivalent of $50 for that entire trip. I mean, considering it usually would cost me triple that, at least. 3 to 4 times some trips, especially if, you know, you're going different places and the nuisance of going through traffic. Anyways, yeah, I thought I would say that, so that was pretty cool stuff. So anyways, that's that. I'll go to this picturesque scene here while I talk about other things related to Run 8, because I don't know, maybe you want to hear more about that. So it's 6:08 p.m. I've got a little bit of time here. I'm just thinking here, do I want to... My voice is kind of... sounds like it could need some refreshment, so... just because it's sounding a little dry. So give me a second and I'll talk about that. But, good. A time to think. Out of the... All right. Had supper about an hour ago, but I can feel my throat getting dry, so I'm like, oh, that's not good. That's what happens when you talk too much. Okay. And I do this better than the forum post, because if I do a forum post, I just go on and on anyways, so who cares? So I thought maybe this is more entertaining. And like I said, my cell phone's going to go off in another 20 minutes here to remind me. I have the alarm set on it. Remind me to get myself in gear and get ready to head over to see my son play soccer, which, surprised he's playing on a holiday, but anyways, whatever. So it's splitting up my evening. As I was saying before, Mikey from Selkirk Mohawk, he wanted to ask some questions programming wise tonight. Originally I said 10. I got some groceries to do later on, so I might try and get it over to 6, or sorry, I'm not 6. Try to get him, talk with him at 9 p.m. instead, but I'll send him an email anyways, and if he hears this, then he knows. Okay, so I started thinking about a few things. First of all, the programming is still going to go on. It's just I'm procrastinating. That's all there is to it. Plus, I'm having fun, having a long weekend and all that other stuff. So, but I started thinking a little bit more about what I want to accomplish, or what's really important. And it was actually, and the reason why I bring up yesterday is because watching the trains yesterday kind of gave me a real good sense of basically what's really important and what's not important. For me personally, I could identify out of all the trains I saw, first of all, I don't know the CSX symbols that I'll use. You know, what I saw or what they're identified with. The scanners, a lot of the times you can't, even if you bring a scanner, you can't get anything and pick up anything. You don't know what it is. So unless you know somebody on the railroad who's got access to the mainframe, who can give you the train symbols and the call sheets and what's coming, you really don't know what trains you're seeing other than really being familiar with them. That started getting me thinking. And there was times where it got dead where I got to think about these things. And I thought, I could, like I said, I recognize the CP train, the Toronto to Chicago train. That was obvious because it had CP equipment on it. It was intermodal. But I started thinking about it and I thought, you know, I really want to get back at basically getting back to where I'm just recording here. Basically, wanted to get back to hosting in the not too distant future. I still don't know yet whether or not that's going to be Selkirk Mohawk or A-Line Florida. It's one of those things where I'm Selkirk Mohawk for me, at least, as I've said before, is not so much the lack of number of trains or the operations or whatever. It's wanting to see whether or not I can get operations the way I want to get them. Now, right now, I'm beta testing my program through Selkirk Mohawk just because I'm gonna I'm gonna assume that that's what I'm going back to. Don't know that for sure yet, though. The popularity wasn't very high for the server, and I'm not 100% sure. What I do want to start to stress, though, is regardless of whether I go Selkirk, Mohawk, or A-Line, I don't want to do a hell of a lot of research or redoing the research. If I do A-Line, I could use the Train Dispatcher 3 data that I always have had, and I have plenty of that, and I can go ahead and use that. Because there's an RTS Florida server already, I don't want to go in confusion between my server and that, so I'll have to call it something else. That's why I certainly would appreciate another route, something that I can really call my own and get myself into. I don't see that coming. There's no indications of a fourth route coming in any capacity for the not too distant future. I even went so far as looking at Train Sim World today, and I still follow those forums, waiting to see if they're going to give me a nugget of anything, and I don't see them. I just don't see them coming anywhere close to Run 8 as far as the freedom and the ability to do what you want, when you want, how you want it. Run 8 tops them in operations. The only thing they lack, I guess, maybe is eye candy, if you know. And so far, they don't have any usable editors just similar to Run 8, so it's really not helping much. It's not making a difference any, so I don't see it being something that I'm, really seriously considering. But what I wanted to probably get at is, if for some reason I set up some of these lines, there's no reason why I can't go Protolance. And I've mentioned this before, and I've thought about this before, but there's no reason why I can't Protolance a line. One of the other things I didn't like about the prototype, and I saw evidence of it last night, and that was another issue. Selkirk Mohawk, for whatever reason, I don't know why this happens. And Mikey said that that's very normal. I'm used to the afternoon lulls over here. It's very common. But what happens in Selkirk Mohawk is there's actually a lull in the evening, in the late evening into the prime time hours. And I noticed that last night in Buffalo. It was dead. Whereas in the day I was seeing, I would see out on the mains just west of town, and I'm talking majority CSX. Even from CSX standards, I was seeing a CSX train, one every 5 to 10 minutes. It was that good. Whereas in the evening, night, I was lucky to see one every hour or two. It went that slow. It was totally different. And I thought about that, and I remember there was some times where the issue that comes up for me a lot of the times, at least, is I don't know if I have enough for people to do on one side of the coin, but on the other side of the coin, I can't have it to where I have too much to do and I get behind, and then I constantly trying to catch up, and it just becomes ridiculously useless. I already know that I don't have data on what trains work certain yards. And that's something that's going to be included with RTS because everything's going to start changing. Now, I had all this Conrail data, which was cool and everything. But the other thing I started thinking about was I kind of like the Conrail symbols. And I thought, well, if I like the Conrail symbols so much, why don't I use them? What's stopping me from not using it? And I don't know why I'm not. It's not a big deal, but at least it gave me something. Because what happens with you have so many train numbers, and then it's just like, does this train work here? Does this train work? I mean, does it go off, like, especially the eastbounds? You know, westbounds are pretty, for the most part, pretty simple, and then you can learn certain numbers and all that stuff. But I started thinking about that, and I thought, yeah, well, why don't I just make a bunch of trains with a bunch of symbols and just go ahead and do it? And just, it doesn't have to be scheduled. It doesn't have to be perfectly scheduled out, across the board. In fact, what's one thing I've also mentioned is that I will have a scheduling system built in. It will be very similar to the random system, except it's not going to suck. I hate to say that. I mean, it'll be similar to the random system, in terms of being able to um, schedule a call sheet, but it's not going to repeat symbols. I can't stand the fact that symbols repeat. I know there's second sections every now and then, but come on, it's just ridiculous sometimes. I I want to put an end to that. So even if I have something relatively spaced out, at least I'm giving myself a chance to have some fair and interesting capacity. Um, so Selkirk and Mohawk, it's still possible. But we'll see. I don't know yet. I'm still thinking about this, and by the looks of things, I might be done this conversation in another 10 minutes. So it's a little bit simpler than I thought. I guess it's really not that big. I probably could have announced this on, but that's the way I think I'm heading, at least. I still have a lot of work that I want to get done. I actually do miss hosting. I miss hosting. I miss running. I got to talk to my son. I didn't get a chance to talk to him much. We didn't talk at all about Run 8 yesterday, so. But pardon me. Maybe I'll try to remember to talk to him tomorrow. Actually, well, what's kind of odd is, um, there's a part of me that's actually kind of getting tired of Run 8. I know there's a part of me that's at that point now. I can't deny it. Just denying it. I'm just, who the hell am I kidding? I'm just kidding myself. Um, I certainly support Run 8, and I certainly continue to do it. I'm not going to totally go cold turkey and say that's it. I've had enough of Run 8 because there's a lot of times I had fun. And in fact, it was Thursday. I dispatched. I had a lot of energy. I was able to dispatch for a while in Southwest Rails, and it was fine. I have every intention of dispatching tomorrow night too. Speaking of which, I don't know if they got anything posted. I haven't checked the forums here. Well, I might as well check them while we go on here. So go over to Run 8 servers. I don't know what's happening with Scott. Scott hadn't replied to any of the last messages that I put up on there, and there's nobody else on his site the last I checked, which is sad. Like I said, you have to have something. I couldn't let me log in without displaying. Yeah, who cares? Okay. So, well, we have an August 5th. Well, that's just the server status. So, and he's been up and down various times, on, off, on, off. Currently off since the 5th. He had a message about going out of business or something like that, and I replied to that, but I haven't seen if he's been off. Latest business report. Okay. All right. So he has replied to that. So let me just see what's going on there. Well. All right. Okay, so there's a lot to do, and I understand that there's a lot to do. It's I guess it's kind of like structure for me personally. Yeah, you know, I miss Selkirk Mohawk in some ways, but in some it's just there's not enough for me as far as structure at the moment to really oops, where do I want to go to servers here. To really sink my teeth into, just because I do, and it's great that there's so many choices out here, but there's really only two that I even can, well, I shouldn't say that, there's three. There's RTS Florida as well. Yeah, Southwest Rails, let me see what's going on there. Go to the calendar. It's usually the best bet. Okay, so we do have sessions lined up for this week. In fact, there's one tonight. I can't tell what the time is on that because it's not really showing up. I see a 20 to 23 there. It gets a little wide. I don't know, the font's just too big and I can't tell what the days or the times are, which is fine. So that's like 7 p.m. But I'll be on whenever I can get a chance to get it for both of those nights. So that would be like, yeah, it'd be like 7 p.m. Eastern at that point. So yeah, I'll be on 7 p.m. Eastern both of those nights. And yeah, I got no problems there. I'm not too sure about the Mondays and Wednesdays. I'll probably try to do my own thing. Obviously today's Monday. I have limited time left, although yeah, got limited time left tonight, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, I had fun last Thursday, so it was cool. It was the last YouTube video I did. It probably seemed like I was having fun, so certainly at least from that respect, I'm fine. I started thinking about. The other thing is, from the programming standpoint, I started thinking about how I wanted to do various things in regards to August 3rd. When was that? 7. Yeah, that was back on Thursday, so I'm pretty sure I read that. Dispatcher planned on duty. I guess I should reply to some of those. Maybe I'll do that. Yeah. Hold on a second here. I should reply to that since I'm in here now. And I'll do that one, click on that. Multiple DS session. Okay, good. And I don't need to, I don't reply to that. So that's good. Okay, so that's that for that. And maps, we can close that. Get away. So yeah, where was I at? So yeah, as far as the programming side of things, I was thinking about I still need to revamp the routes. That's the basic killer right there, is to make sure that I'm able to load up not the routes but the actual track sections. I could make it so that we have a triple overlap. That triple overlap will probably deal with everything. I may program that in and put it in, but I've also thought about changing it over to a caboose because I think it's a little bit smaller. But I'll have to see about that. But that's probably something I'm not going to be able to do until Wednesday at this point. I can't see myself tonight unless I get started early enough and get through that phone call later tonight, depending upon how it's going. But of course, that's all going to be offline. I'm going to just, Mikey and I will have a private conversation and we'll talk a little bit. So I'll email him just after I end this stream to let him know that I could probably make it by 9 as far as I know. If I push everything. I was going to go for a walk tonight, so forget it. I should go for a longer walk tonight. I haven't got too much exercise in this week, so I'll just leave it at 10. We'll see. We'll see how it goes, but I got some groceries to do on the way back as well, so we'll see how it but I do want to get out at some point. Maybe I'll talk to him and then go for a walk. Who knows? See how it goes. I don't know. I think that's about it. My phone's gonna wake me up here. It's not supposed to wake me up, but it's supposed to get my attention. Turn the alarm off. Okay. So, but that's pretty much what's on my mind for the moment. I'll have another session tonight. Session tomorrow night to dispatch. So right now, Tuesday and Thursday, I'll be doing that. It's just 1:30 now by the looks of it. So Tuesday and Thursday will be fine. I'll be on those nights. I don't know about anything else tonight. I will send an email message to say that I could get back a little sooner, but see how that goes. But anyways, yeah, that's about it. For now, I just thought I'd update you guys on what's going on since this was a long weekend and I had a little bit of time to get that out. And yeah, if I don't do anything else tonight, programming wise, hopefully Wednesday. I've got caught up on all the personal stuff that I need to get caught up on otherwise. So Wednesday looks like it could be a potentially good night to program, but again, who knows? Things could happen, and if I find an excuse not to program, I'll find that excuse, believe me, because it's not something I really cherish on doing. I'm not even too sure if I'm looking forward to this phone call tonight, depending upon how difficult it is. But anyways, that's it for now. So I'm such a nice guy, I'll take the phone call. But anyways, yeah. I will end this now and talk to you guys later. Maybe tonight, doubt it, but if not, I'll be on tomorrow night for the Southwest Rails dispatch session. Talk to you later.